Hi, my name is Ansley, and in this video, I will share how I use the strategy of learning by self-testing to become a more active learner. Of all the many different active learning strategies that there are, this is one of the most commonly used by students. However, some students do avoid it. Self-testing is defined as retrieving information from your memory by quizzing yourself. I'm hoping through this video I can convince you that the benefits of this strategy make it worth your time when you are studying for an exam. The strategy of self-testing involves answering practice questions about previously learned material, and it helps learners in that it connects learned content together to boost retention. Self-testing allows for people to engage in active recall and helps to retrieve information from one's long-term memory. This is shown here as I have shown the memory process and how we see something sensory-wise and it gets transported to our sensory memory. And a lot of this information is lost because people do not pay attention to every single bit of sensory stimuli that they see during the day. Paying attention, however, allows for this to be moved to our short-term and working memory, and through rehearsal, encoding, and retrieval or recall, it can then be moved to the long-term memory so that people can end up retaining information that they learned during class. Most people who use this strategy will find practice questions provided by the teacher or online to help them to practice material learned during class time. Practicing learned material helps it to become engraved into a student's brain and gives the material a practical use in the long term. Personally, I use this strategy frequently in my chemistry course. In this class, we were given recitation worksheets, which you can see on the top right, and we complete them every week, and they contain multiple practice problems which help us to retain and use information being taught during our lecture classes. Normally, these worksheets are about 20 or so questions long, and since we are required to do them, it requires us to practice the material that we have been working on during class. However, for exam weeks, we are provided with recitations that can be up to 100 questions, and typically I will try and work and do as many of those questions as I can just for some extra practice. Along with this, prior to the exam, I will use other practice questions provided to us in the form of readiness quizzes, which you can see on the left. After completing these quizzes for the first time, I will go back over the questions I did incorrectly, and I will redo it until I'm able to solve it successfully. I also sometimes will take notes on the concepts I didn't really understand from the readiness quiz, and I would take notes on what specifically I did wrong and write them on a whiteboard, as you can see in the bottom right corner. That was one of my recent little bits of stuff, a little recent picture from one of my recent study sessions, and this was able to help me really understand the content that I did not grasp onto completely when I did the readiness quiz the first time. We are normally provided a few opportunities to redo the readiness quiz until we get a grade that we are happy with, so I will typically go and do my best and just go off of my memory for the first practice, and then after that I will take notes so that I can do better, and I typically do better on the next ones following taking notes and redoing the questions. I have noticed that for one of the tests where I did not use this strategy, I performed much worse when compared to the tests that I used this strategy for. For courses that are primary problem-based, such as chemistry, practice questions are essential to ensuring you understand course material. On this slide, you can see that for exam 2, I was not able to truly take advantage of the practice questions I was given, so therefore I performed much worse than I did in other ones. I'm slightly moving my camera so that you can see how for exam 1 and exam 3, I did significantly better since I was able to practice use these practice questions so that I could better perform. However, I'm hoping for this next test that I will be able to get an even better grade than all 3 of these exam scores, considering they're not super sufficient for me, and I would hope that I can do a little bit better in the future. At first, I struggled with developing motivation to do practice questions that were not previously assigned to me. I would think about the fact that I was not required to complete them, which only made me want to do them less. Other students might find it hard to find questions that help them to practice learned material if they are not provided with them from the teacher. Along with this, they may struggle with figuring out if they answered a question correctly or not, or answer the question correctly or not if the answer key was not previously provided. Some solutions to these problems are remembering that any practice will improve scores, whether it is assigned practice or practice that you choose to do by yourself, any little bit of it will be helpful and will help you to better retain information. And also, you can search the topic online to find practice problems. There are so many different videos and practice that are listed online for any topic in actually every single subject, so you just really have to learn how to look for them. And office hours are helpful to check answers along with asking friends that you may have in that course, since they may know how to do a question that you are not 100% sure about. In summary, despite these struggles, using this strategy has helped me to grasp onto harder concepts in more difficult classes. I believe that every student should try to implement this strategy into their study habits because it truly helps to improve performance on tests and class activities, and it provides a beneficial way to study for upcoming exams in an interactive way. The use of the interactivity helps so that once you get to the exam, you know how to apply concepts that were taught in class and don't just simply understand the concepts. You are able to then use it in a way that you may not previously have been taught to use it during class. Thank you.